Hello and a very warm welcome to Front Page, only on the AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. Truly a pleasure to have you all with us. But before we get into the headlines and what follows are the front page stories, here is something which is very important for me to share with you, which is the fact that Cypher, India's biggest AI summit and expo, AIM's marquee event, is back in its 10th edition, which makes it bigger than ever. It shall take place in October of this year. The venue is KTPO, Bengaluru. And if you're very serious about your AI and tech, which I know you are, then well, I will see you at Cypher 2026. And now, here are the headlines. Meta employees consumed 73.7 trillion AI tokens in a single month, putting annualized internal AI spending at roughly $2.65 billion and highlighting a growing enterprise challenge, measuring AI productivity against soaring token costs. Tata-backed STT GDC India targets a $7 billion valuation in its upcoming $1 billion IPO. We unpack how surging AI workloads are quickly turning data centers into India's next blockbuster investment theme. Andhra Pradesh is racing to become India's next major tech hub as IBM prepares to launch the nation's most powerful 156-qubit quantum computer in Amaravati by September of 2026. Our very technology journalist Alex Heath says an Elon Musk AI phone is strategically inevitable, arguing SpaceX, Starlink, XAI and XMoney together create the perfect ecosystem for a hardware platform, despite Musk publicly denying the reports. Today's front page exclusive will feature ToneTag CEO Kumar Abhishek as he reveals Ecos, a revolutionary AI banking platform. We will discuss how this edge AI box will unlock $530 billion in credit for India's 64 million MSMEs. Now, only a few hours ago, we covered Palantir CEO Alex Karp accusing OpenAI and Anthropic of charging companies enormous sums for tokens while capturing the value of their businesses. Today, the other side of that argument has finally revealed itself, because it turns out the biggest challenge for AI companies may not be selling tokens, it is actually stopping customers from consuming too many of them. Meta employees consumed 73.7 trillion AI tokens in a single month. At prevailing enterprise pricing, that translates to roughly $221 million every month, $2.65 billion a year. Enough to pay approximately 9,000 engineers at $300,000 annually. The source was entirely internal: engineers, product teams, and researchers using AI tools inside Meta. The numbers became so extreme that Meta began introducing controls, budgets, monitoring systems, and centralized dashboards to track spending. Now, the most revealing detail is how Meta got there. Now, for a period, AI usage became a performance signal inside parts of the company. Employees competed on internal leaderboards. Some built systems that continuously interacted with models. Others optimized for token consumption itself, a phenomenon that reportedly became known inside the company as token maxing. Now, Meta CTO Andrew Bosworth eventually had to intervene with a statement that may become one of the most important lessons of the AI era. Token usage is not productivity. The outliers are where the economics get genuinely strange. Semi-analysis reports that some individual users were consuming AI resources worth roughly $35,000 per month per seat. One person is not sitting there typing prompts. They are actually launching workflows, running coding agents, executing autonomous loops, delegating tasks to models that call other models. Usage is increasingly machine-generated. Enterprise AI spending follows a power law, which is the median employee spends roughly $12 per month. The top 10% spend hundreds. The top 1% spend thousands. And the extreme outliers spend, well, tens of thousands. Most employees barely use AI. A tiny minority account for most of the spending. And well, much of the AI industry's current revenue depends on those heavy users, not the average enterprise. Now, Uber reportedly burned through an entire annual AI budget in just 4 months. We are all aware of that. We've spoken about that quite a few times on front page. Now, the response was spending limits, monthly caps, approval workflows. Now, this is exactly what enterprises do when a resource becomes expensive. Cloud spend got monitored, SaaS spend got monitored. AI spend is, well, going down that same road of being monitored. The experimentation phase is, well, starting to end. The moment finance teams actually start examining AI bills, they ask one question: do we need GPT 5.5 or Claude Opus 4.7 for this? Or can we have cheaper model summarize the document, classify the email, route the support ticket? Now, according to UBS research, roughly 60% of companies monitoring AI costs are already exploring cheaper alternatives, including open source models like Qwen, DeepSeek, GLM, Kimi, and Minimax, which are very competitive on performance and dramatically cheaper. Cost curves determine adoption, and the cost curve argument is, well, starting to win. Now, if you have been following us on front page, which I know you have been, and of course also on Point Break, several guests have called this out quite emphatically. The experts were usually ahead of the headline. And now, of course, here's time for the front page take. 73.7 trillion tokens, $2.65 billion a year. 1 month, one company, internal employees. The AI industry spent 2 years celebrating consumption, more prompts, agents, inference. Finance teams are now in the room and they're asking a very different question. The future of AI will be determined by who delivers the most intelligence per dollar. That is a very different competition from the one most people have been watching till now. Please do let us know what are your thoughts in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM. India's next big IPO does not build smartphones or software. It builds the infrastructure that powers both. But before we unveil this story, I would thoroughly request you to please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. Now, one of India's largest data center companies is preparing to tap the public markets. STT Global Data Centers India, or STT GDC India, has begun preparations for a massive initial public offering expected next year. Now, this is a 74-26 joint venture between ST Telemedia Global Data Centers and Tata Communications. And it is one of India's leading providers of AI-ready colocation data centers services. According to Money Control, the Mumbai headquartered giant is planning to raise between $800 million and $1 billion through the share sale. The company has already, well, appointed Axis Capital and Citi as investment bankers for the proposed IPO. Additional advisors are also expected to be brought on board later. STT GDC India is targeting a valuation of $6 to $7 billion. Now, sources have also cautioned, by the way, that these are still early stage discussions. The final issue size could change depending on market conditions. Other major players, including Sifi, Infinite Spaces, and Yotta Data Services, are all exploring domestic stock market listings. The IPO preparations also come just months after a major ownership transaction. Now, only in February, global investment firm KKR, Singapore telecommunications giant Singtel, and ST Telemedia signed definitive agreements. Now, under this, funds managed by KKR and Singtel will acquire the remaining 82% stake in ST Telemedia Global Data Centers for approximately $5.1 billion. As of February 2026, STT GDC India managed one of the country's largest white space data center portfolios. The company operates more than 400 megawatts of critical IT loads across 30 facilities, including those under development spread across 10 Indian cities. Its customer base includes several Fortune 500 companies, and the company has also committed to achieving carbon neutral data center operations by 2030. Well, that truly is a breath of fresh air in more ways than one. Now, of course, earlier this year, STT GDC India launched its fourth data center in Chennai. The facility marks the expansion of its second campus at Siruseri. During that announcement, the company also confirmed that it was evaluating long-term strategic options, including a potential IPO targeted for the first half of 2027. Now, industry estimates suggest India's installed data center power capacity will cross 2 gigawatts by 2026, up from just over 1 gigawatt. By 2030, that capacity is expected to grow fivefold, my friends, to more than 8 gigawatts. The expansion could generate more than $30 billion in capital expenditure. Wow. And here, of course, is the front page take. India's next wave of billion-dollar IPOs may well increasingly come from digital infrastructure. Won't be surprised. Not just digital platforms. And to no one's surprise, India's data center sector is witnessing unprecedented growth. Several powerful trends are driving demand, including the world's largest mobile internet user base, government data sovereignty requirements, and rapidly growing AI workloads. Now, together, cohesively, such factors are creating massive demand for new data center capacity. Now, the question I would like to ask all of you is, will data centers become India's next blockbuster investment theme? And what are your thoughts in terms of ensuring that the environment is also embraced while this progress takes place? That and a lot more I would love to know in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adasi, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model, you can use any of these models. So this is the 2ml file, and what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created, there is a Pi project created, there is requirement, and this is the environment. So just this is the app where you have a Pi cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script, and then here you have got a readme which you can use automatically running in Docker, and these things come automatically. You can click on data store, you can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1, it's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding, so we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
You know what the general perception as far as India goes and the tech map goes, everyone in India keeps tom-tomming about a state that they should put on the tech map. It is actually Andhra Pradesh, but well, nobody seems to underline or highlight it. Everyone seems to talk about Karnataka all the time, or for that matter, other states. But today, two stories are telling a very different tale. One about money, one about the future of computing itself. And together, they're making a statement of ambition. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna has confirmed it. IBM is bringing a quantum computer to Amaravati. And here's why this matters. Amaravati is actually one of only 2 locations chosen in all of India. The target to have it running September 2026. Yes. This, I believe, has gone beyond just a research paper. It's no longer just a promise which will probably take place by the next decade. This is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, a working quantum computer in Andhra Pradesh. And you know what is heartening to know? It's going to happen within months. So the point that I would like to understand, and probably you would also like to understand, is why here? Krishna was blunt about the reason. It was talent. His logic said, where do you find enough people who understand math and physics, who actually want to translate real-world problems onto the strange new mathematics that quantum computers use? Well, that seems to be the bet. India's deep bench of math and physics minds becomes the workforce for the next computing revolution. And Andhra Pradesh wants to be the place they work. Now, of course, let's try to draw your attention to the machine itself. Now, according to plans, IBM will deploy a 156-qubit Heron processor, not the professor, but the processor. Yes. Now, if that actually lands as described, hoping not the professor but the processor, it becomes the largest and most powerful quantum computer ever deployed in India. And it won't sit in isolation. It's going to be into the upcoming Quantum Valley Tech Park. The focus is high-tech jobs, serious research and development, and a foundation for what Andhra Pradesh is now openly calling its ambition to be India's quantum capital. But here's actually the biggest signal from Krishna himself. He believes quantum computing is nearing a turning point, moving from the research lab into practical real-world use. His prediction is within 2 to 3 years, quantum could start delivering real benefits across pharmaceuticals, materials science, financial services, logistics, cybersecurity, and advanced AI. So in other words, This, I believe, is no longer just, well, a science experiment, and I think that kind of denigrates the entire ambition. It is truly the early foundation of an industry. Now here's the second half of the story. Because ambition needs an economy behind it, Andhra Pradesh has posted a 21% growth rate, the second highest in the country, right after Gujarat. And that, I believe, proclaims momentum. But here's the reality check. When we go back to June's GST collections, Maharashtra led with over 16,000 crores, Gujarat went ahead and contributed 7,800 crores, and Andhra Pradesh 3,144 crores. Still, behind neighboring Telangana's 3,994 crore rupees. So the growth rate is definitely blazing, but the absolute base is still, I believe, catching up, which is fine. And the state knows it. That's more important. Its stated target is quite significant and clear: surpass Telangana. The strategy of achieving that is finish the mega projects, complete Amaravati, because once these big builds come online, GST collections are expected to rise consequently and significantly. Growth today, higher revenue tomorrow. That, I believe, is probably the playbook that they're following. Now, when we step back and look at the macro view, we start to understand that what's landing in this one region alone. Airbound's massive drone delivery network, Amazon and the hyperscalers racing to build across India, and now an IBM quantum computer in Amaravati. So Andhra Pradesh isn't just chasing investment, it's stacking frontier technology. Well, its economy grows at one of the fastest rates in the country. And now, of course, is the front page take. Now, I feel this is a state trying to leapfrog, and why not? Not by competing on the industries of yesterday, but by planting a flag in the technologies of tomorrow. Quantum, drones, data, the capital city still being built, and an ambition to become India's next great tech hub. Now, the question I would like to ask you is this: can Amaravati really become India's quantum capital, or is the ambition running ahead of the ground reality? Honestly, I think they're already there. But that's my thought. I'd love to know what are your thoughts in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think IIM. Of course, Elon Musk is building an AI phone, or at least that is what one of the tech industry's most connected journalists believes. But before we go deep down, dialing onto that particular phone and understanding what is up with Musk, I would please request you to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Now, of course, Alex Heath, who's the deputy editor at The Verge, says an AI phone from Elon Musk makes complete strategic sense. Not because Musk wants to compete with Apple, but because he wants to control the entire AI experience. Now, from rumor to prototype, the speculation intensified after the Wall Street Journal reported that SpaceX has shown investors a prototype of a handset thinner than an iPhone. Now, reportedly, the device runs on a proprietary operating system, uses AI technology from xAI, the company absorbed by SpaceX in just this February, and is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset. The report also notes the device is still in the prototype stage, has no official name, and there is no certainty it will ever reach consumers. But you know what? It's an interesting exercise. How about you send in suggestions for Elon Musk's phone name? Yeah, you could be very creative. Anyway, Musk, by the way, till now has denied everything. Elon Musk has completely rejected the report, responding on X by calling it utterly false, end quote. Although, this is not the first time. Back in February of 2026, after Reuters reported that SpaceX was developing an iPhone competitor, Musk responded, "We are not developing a phone." Yeah, he always has this habit of being at the right place at the right time and, well, being on X. However, Alex Heath argues that Musk's denial should not necessarily be taken at face value. He writes that if you have followed Musk's past denials, often actually precede products that later become reality. Alex Heath's theory is actually this: he has been hearing rumors for months about a SpaceX handset. His belief is that SpaceX is not building just another smartphone, but a complete AI hardware ecosystem. The working assumption among people close to Musk is that SpaceX could eventually acquire a mobile carrier and bundle the handset with an upgraded Starlink subscription. Yeah, actually, Makes sense. Given that it actually reportedly uses Qualcomm Snapdragon chips, Heath believes it is more likely an Android-based operating system heavily customized with Grok, X and SpaceX software integrated throughout. So in other words, it would be an AI-first phone rather than a traditional smartphone. The hardware race, according to Heath, this is of course the same reason Meta is investing in AI glasses and Google builds Pixel devices. Owning the hardware means controlling the software, the AI assistant, the user experience, and ultimately the customer relationship. The mobile expansion? The timing is also quite interesting. Last week, as we know, the Financial Times reported that SpaceX is exploring a terrestrial mobile phone service, with COO Gwynne Shotwell reportedly telling investors the company is evaluating retail mobile services. Now, on the same day, Bloomberg reported that SpaceX is in talks with Charter Communications about using its ground infrastructure for mobile traffic. SpaceX already partners with T-Mobile to offer direct-to-cell satellite connectivity using the Starlink satellite network. Alex Heath believes an Elon Musk AI phone is not just plausible, but inevitable. Really? Okay. In the AI era, owning the model without owning the device may no longer be enough. Well, whether the phone exists today or not may actually be the wrong question. The real question is, if AI becomes the operating system of our lives, who will own the hardware we access it through? And who would consequently control the next generation of AI devices? Forget all of whatever I just mentioned. Do you really think that there will be an Elon Musk smartphone on its way, or for that matter, a SpaceX phone? Answer me that. Just plain and simple in the comments below. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adasi, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Pi project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So this is the app where you have a Pi cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker. And these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adasi, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is You can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Pi project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So this is the app where you have a Pi cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker. And these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
India has 64 million MSMEs. Only 14% of them have access to formal credit. The credit gap is $530 billion. UPI now processes over 18 billion transactions every month, making India the world's most successful digital payment story. And yet, the small trader in Mysore, the kirana owner in Patna, the vegetable vendor in Bengaluru, none of them can get a loan against the transaction history sitting on their phone. The payments revolution happened, for sure. The banking revolution did not follow, unfortunately. But then, ToneTag has been building the infrastructure underneath India's digital commerce since 2013. 35 million transactions daily, 2 million touch points, 21 global patents spanning edge AI, tokenization, blockchain, and digital payments. Kumar started ToneTag because, well, shopkeeper in Chandoli gave him a packet of Parle G biscuits instead of change. 12 years later, he went on to launch a banking platform. That is, honestly, quite a journey from biscuits to banking. Today, in Bengaluru, the company is launching eKosh, a voice-first AI banking platform built specifically for India's MSMEs. Kumar Abhishek is founder and CEO of ToneTag, and he's joining me exclusively on Front Page for this, I'm pretty sure, a fabulously aspirational conversation. Welcome to Front Page. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Very quickly, Kumar, it's truly an honor to have you with us on Front Page, but fascinating motivation. Biscuits to banking. Did I get that right? Could you walk us through
absolutely.
it?
Yes, absolutely. Look, back then, UPI was not there, right? And cash was still prevalent in our economy. And change was a big problem. So when you pay in cash and merchant doesn't have change, you generally get candies or Parle G, right? And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
But then here I was working on a core banking software by one of the largest SaaS companies out of India and building these rails for large global banks, right? And I said, hey, why not we use this whole digital rails and try and solve some of these issues which MSMEs in India are facing.
Right.
It's not like he wanted to, sell a Parle G. He didn't have a choice.
Correct.
He didn't have change, right?
Correct.
So yes, that definitely was one of the pickles to think about solving this large scale problem.
So you actually literally brought about a change, no pun intended, which brings me to the fact that UPI processes 18 billion transactions monthly. The MSME credit gap stands at $530 billion, as I just mentioned. The payments revolution has taken place. Now, India fixed payments. Why did credit not follow? And what is actually kind of the challenge which goes beyond just the payment aspect?
I think when we look at our own base of now, it's close to 3 million touch points where we operate. These are all the way from small stores to smart stores, which you see.
Right.
We cover like almost 73% pin code in India in terms of the spread which we have. One interesting, so the two things which we really see, right? A is that there is definitely outreach or information gap, right? So many MSME still prefer to take credit from somebody neighborhood rather than really going to their bank because somewhere they feel that the bank will not underwrite them, right? In fact, you will be shocked to know that a lot of them are not even aware of a lot of government, both center and state government programs, which is there for MSME.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Right. So there's definitely one thing which we clearly see is this whole information asymmetry, right? Because a lot of these MSME are still not digital savvy, right? Even on WhatsApp, they leave voice messages, right? And the second thing which we have seen is that your underwriting rails, right, while have digitalized, they still require a lot of structured data in digital form, right? Which people like you and me can provide. So for example, every time you take loan, right? Whether it doesn't matter you've taken a loan 6 months back or now, the bank will always ask you 6 months bank statement, right?
Correct.
Your pay slip, salary slip, right? But somewhere today you are digital savvy, you have them in digital format, you just ship it, right? But then still you have to sign and things like that. But for an MSME, a small merchant, right? Doing all of that is a big overhead, right? Just to even know whether they can be underwritten or not, right? So I think that's the other challenge from an accessibility perspective, right? We have also seen there that, interesting enough, a lot of NBFCs and banks to reach out to MSME and ask them or that, hey, are you interested in credit? Is also a cost for a lot of these NBFCs and banks. So you can clearly see the gap that a merchant needs credit, but they have this asymmetry information. They have asymmetry on digital data, right, which they can just push it and get underwritten. The B is that the people who are ready to underwrite or can underwrite, they have also an invested cost initially to reach out to these MSM. So the both side product gaps when you look at a large country like India, right, where MSMEs, you have like almost 6 crore MSMEs spread across, right?
Correct.
So I think these are the two clear gaps which we are seeing.
Very interesting, Kumar. I mean, and also very enterprising of you to have probably sensed that gap and provided a solution for it. Because, I mean, the sheer numbers that you're talking about are huge. So for even a bank or for an NBFC, that's a lot of business, but they're not approaching it because of, well, the challenge that you just spoke about. Could you very quickly just maybe touch upon the kind of turnover that you're mentioning so that we get a context in terms of when you say an MSME merchant, it will just give us an interesting context.
Yeah. So look, a lot of time, we build ideas and strategy in boardrooms, right? But I think for when you're operating or you are privileged enough to operate in large economies like India, right? You should look at data to build your strategy, right? And that's what has happened with us. Right. So we started with, we have this protocol where we can send data over sound waves. We have multiple global patents, right? So to do GTM of this, we put that into a smart IoT device called as Soundbox, right? And we start giving it to merchants, right? Now, interesting enough, we are a B2B company. So we don't approach merchants directly. We work with banks and large enterprises, and they give our platform to their merchants. Now, when they started giving this, we had these data, tokenized data, which came to us. And we started analyzing, those data, and then started seeing the gap. And then we started fixing those gaps by launching new services on the box, right?
Fair.
And then we saw that these services were bringing a lot more efficiency in both merchant ops and our partner ops, right? And then they started putting more boxes. And suddenly, if you see, 2 years back, we started with some 10,000 boxes or merchant touch points every month. And today we are more close to 2 lakh per month, right?
Wow.
So that's the jump if you see,
That's
right?
significant.
And today, collectively across all our partners, we have north of 3 million such touch points, right? And you rightly said we are north of 30 million interactions or transactions every day on these boxes. And here, with all the approach or the way the merchants are using it, we saw these two very interesting gaps. That, as merchant dependency on UPI based digital payment increased, and you had all these boxes, right? Now, suddenly, if the box doesn't work, or your settlement doesn't come on time, or if the UPI transaction failed for whatever reason, these merchants get anxious. Earlier, when they were taking transactions in cash, only few portion of their daily collection was in UPI, and they were still okay because they were not mainstream.
Correct.
But now it's mainstream. 70-80% of store collection is happening digital. And if the box which is responsible to do that doesn't function for some reason, they are getting anxious, right? And the B is that, as I mentioned, because of lack of asymmetry information and data, they also are not getting the right access to credit to improve their business, right?
Yes.
So we definitely, with our ops and the data which our ops did, and this whole flywheel, that boxes, data, services, more boxes, more data, more interesting services. This flywheel, which led from 10,000 a month to now nearly 2 lakh per month, helped us understand these gaps and then build solutions on it. So one which we are talking about, what the launch which we are trying to do is to say, Ecosh, is to say that, look, if I can talk to the box in a language which I understand, right? So whenever an issue occurs, say my settlement didn't come in time, or the last UPI transaction failed, right? But I don't know why, right? Or something is not working on the box itself, right? Then I can just press a button in a language which I understand. I can just talk to the box.
Correct.
No need to make a call. No need to learn how to operate a digital app. But a language which I understand, I just speak to this box in that language.
And how quickly is probably the reply? Because the way I understand this is, Kumar, that you are diluting the panic that you had that these merchants had encountered, and I believe Ecosh is a solution to that. 1.
Yes.
2, the fact that how quickly does the answer come back? 3, how does it facilitate, let's say, a credit line to them?
Yeah, so I'm just coming there. So that because we have this innovation with patents and all, right, where we can process acoustic. So acoustic is sound, and your speech is also sound, right? We can process this locally on the edge instead of sending everything to the cloud for a large language model to interpret, right? So hence, the efficiency and latency in processing such conversation is much faster than anything which you will see in the ecosystem. So our response time is anywhere between 2 seconds to 5 seconds, depending on the kind of query you are doing, right? And that too at a much more lower cost. So a soundbox comes around 1,000 rupee, right? Where it's just one side flow. Whatever transaction you have done, it just plays the confirmation of it, right? Now you just add few more 100 rupees to that, and suddenly it becomes a conversational box. Now, what we are trying to do here is that this may be one of the largest meaningful AI deployment for MSME anywhere on this planet, because it's getting done at a cost point where it can actually be made available 6 crore MSME. Now,
Yeah,
second thing
that's what
we have unlocked.
got me thinking, right?
The second thing which we have unlocked is that if you remember how banks operate, right? So banks is all about you park money there and they lend it, right?
Sure.
And they've opened a lot of services around this feature, correct? Long back, for everything we have to go to a bank branch, right? But then they opened, say, ATMs. What ATMs did was, it was an extension of your bank branch, where the basic services, you don't have to go to a bank branch, you can just do it from ATM, right? Now, because these boxes are conversational and you have a bank account, so not only you can resolve queries related to UPI, cash collection, the box itself, you can also now use this box as your banking channel, right? So now you can request for your checkbook.
It's a lot like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a lot like, let's say, a phone banking and internet banking. Then you have there's, lack of a better term, box banking.
Yes. But more than that, what we're really trying to say here is that, look, for your MSME, who today does a lot of his business even on WhatsApp by leaving voice messages.
Sure.
If you give him a complicated mobile banking app, right, he will just not maybe able to use it, right? Even to request a checkbook, in fact, whatever bank app you have, try and request for a checkbook. See the process.
Trauma, please don't remind me.
Yes. And then imagine an MSME in Patna or maybe go back, Chandoli itself, doing it, right? But if with a button press on a box where he's collecting UPI payments, he can just talk and say, "Bhai, mera checkbook ek bhej do," right?
Mujhe sir ek box bhej do.
Right. That we will definitely, if you're an MSME, we will try to register.
Thank you.
But what I'm trying to say is that these are the unlocks. So now suddenly, what we're really saying is that for banks, what they did with ATMs for consumer banking, now for their MSME, they can make these acceptance boxes become an alternate channel, a voice-first alternate channel for MSME banking. Now, this is massive. I'll tell you why. It brings bank more closer to your MSME. All his basic needs for which he has to visit a bank branch, right? Or keep calling your toll free, now is available right there. Plus, it's very personalized because the box is linked to his current account and he's only going to query around that current account, not any generic query, correct?
Right.
The second most important thing here is that this whole information asymmetry, which I was talking about,
You're right.
or data asymmetry, right? Now, because if I need a credit, I can talk to my box and say, "Hey, kya mujhe loan mil sakta hai?"
Fair.
Now the entire banking system knows that, hey, this is this merchant, this is his current account. Now I can see all his cash flows, right? All the collections which he does. So to me, all his data is already available in digital format, right? And now I don't have to go to MSME to ask if he needs credit. He himself has come directly.
Sure.
So all my cost of originating credit is also gone. Right? And this guy, I can underwrite him because I have all his data already, right? So I can very quickly in 2 minutes or 10 minutes take a call and say, yes, आपको 25,000 का credit मिल सकता है 6 महीनों के लिए इस rate पे. Now, this differentiation is so big. I'll tell you that once a MSME have this access, right? Today, he doesn't even know if he could be underwritten. Forget about everything else.
Yeah.
But now he has a rate, that what interest rate he can get underwritten, how much he could be written, right? So now where he goes to some third party and take credits at much higher rate and then struggles to pay it off, one more channel, right, to validate it through, correct? And kyunki he's able to get all of this in his own language. It is as if he's going to a bank branch and talking to a bank agent. You get my point? It's because it's the same language comfort which he's getting, right? Now suddenly you are unlocking your country's MSME, right? The much needed credit cycle which is needed, right? And you are solving it on both sides. the demand side also, the supply side also.
You're
correct.
Actually, you know what's so fascinating, Kumar, about whatever you've just walked us through, and thank you so much for doing so. I would, of course, request you in terms of the level of implementation that has probably taken place till now, because, you know, I'm pretty sure that would be very encouraging as well. But you know what you've managed to do is that 6 crore number. My God, the kind of, you know, shot in the arm it gives to the economy of the country. Technology being deployed in a way which is, you know, bringing a very large population to the forefront.
Absolutely. So I think, see, the meaning of technology should always be and has always been that how accessible you make it, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the power which a technology can assert, right? And especially for India, wherein if you look at, we are at a $4 trillion economy and soon we will be $10 trillion. Putting in this 4 trillion, right? 25 to 30% to this is contributed by your MSME, right? And when you talk about these additional 6 trillion, your MSME will add at least 2 trillion to that, right? Now, this is a number, but how are you going to achieve that? You can only achieve it if you are making your MSME perform efficiently. You'll be shocked that a lot of MSME in the country, because they don't know all these schemes which government relays, they are not able to access it.
And they will have knowledge of all these schemes, Kumar.
Just by talking.
Just by talking through eCosh, right? So you're essentially eliminating the unfortunate ignorance that they have been burdened with for so many years. And you're unlocking all those avenues, which then gives them a lot more fluency and flexibility to do their business a lot more efficiently.
Absolutely. And there always has been with MSME a fear of rejection, right? And earlier it was with common people in the country also. Why we were underbanked for a long time? Because we had this fear that if I go to bank branch, I don't know what all we will ask, what all documents I'll have to sign, right? But then that got resolved, right? Now here, if the accessibility is available in the comfort of his store, right? In the comfort of his language, right?
Changes the game.
He can ask questions, which he have never been able to kind of, do because of fear of rejection, right? So a lot of those intangibles will get solved. But more than that, what is going to happen is banks have a cost to maintain an MSME account or current account. In fact, any account, right? Now, a lot of that cost gets resolved through this because if I'm an MSME and I do decent business, bank has to assign me a relationship manager.
Sure.
Right? Now, a relationship manager can only manage 200, 300 accounts. True. Right? And there's a cost to it. But here, you have just unlocked a 24/7 voice first relationship manager for all your MSME. Correct? MSME even, so 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, if MSME needs some help, your relationship manager won't be available because he's off his working hours.
True.
But this box, you talk and it will answer, right? It will resolve all your issues. Now that could be fundamental shift, and with our ability to compute, right? Conversational on edge. And there's this whole ability which AI brings up, right? Yeah. This may be the most meaningful implementation of AI for our larger MSME, which is contributing 30% to your GDP, correct? So empowering them is very systematic, progression for the country.
Okay. Kumar, you talked about languages. Now, if we talk about Sarvam, right? Vivek was on front page, and I remember we having this conversation with him. 22 Indian languages. Now, the same challenge applies here. India's merchants speak multiple languages, dialects, and code switch mid-sentence. Now, whatever we have discussed till now, and truly it's been fascinating, but as we go deeper into the conversation, I believe language will play a very important role, according to me, as far as eCosh's success goes, and also the aspect of human in the loop. Because you'll need somebody around, right? There could be queries which could be very arbid as well. There could be queries which could be very complicated. And then there is that language aspect attached to it. So how close are we to, let's say, AI becoming the primary financial assistant for India's MSMEs? And what were the hardest problems in building voice AI for the real India? And also, of course, the human in the loop factor? Is it going to be a constant?
Yeah. So very, very valid points. But I think, look, the way you are looking at it is more from how a large language frontier models operate, right? So it's a great example there. So what we're really saying here is that hey, there's a problem which large language models are trying to solve, wherein you ask them anything in any language and they will try to figure out an answer for it, right? But if you look at the space where we are operating, it's very guided. It says that, look, I'm extending banking services to you. A. B, I'm extending, say, anything related to cash flow. So UPI QR you have put, whatever that queries is related to the UPI transaction, right? And third, I have given you this payment device. So battery is not working, connectivity is not working. So the query set is very limited, right? Now, this is very important. This is very important because it's a meaningful device. It has a purpose pre-built into it. Right? You can't go and ask him like, play me an OTT channel. Although you can, but that's another service layer. But today what we are trying to really solve here is the basics, right? So that while Servum is on the large language model, right? So it can, definitely be banks and enterprise will benefit from what they bring from a local language understanding perspective. But what we are trying to solve here is an accessibility platform, right? In the most efficient, low-cost manner, right? Which are purpose-built interactions, right? So I am going to extend bank branching on this. So you go to your bank branch for 6 features. All of that is available here in all languages which we are going to kind of support or banks wants to extend it, right? So it's a purpose-built. And I think a lot you are going to see now, right? That you will very soon have a mix of edge devices which are purpose built. So you'll have health devices, you have smart glasses, right? Which all will support you purpose build. So what do you call as small action language models, right? These are small models, purpose built, very thorough verticalized solution. And they definitely take help of large language models like Servum for some massive language supports, right? So going back, so there will be 3 layers in operationalizing any AI. A, large language models which operate on the cloud. B, the connectivity. Very soon the work with Airtel, Jio are doing will come forefront because you need 4G, 5G, 6G connectivity, right? But the very critical layer where broader focus is not today, but you're seeing that shift happening, is your edge devices. Because edge is where traffic to AI is going to originate from. So consumers like you and me or merchants are going to use AI from their phone, smartwatch, smart boxes, right? So optimization on edge and AI compute layers on edge, right, are going to become very, very critical. And that's where solutions like verticalized solutions in financial services, some of health solutions, right, will start making a lot of sense. So you will have a small action language model and compute features operating on the edge, then connectivity, and then the large language model to cover broader sets.
Understood. Which brings me to this then, Kumar. In a way, what you've kind of just described is the fact that you're dealing with MSMEs where, you're dealing honestly in the hinterland of the country where they don't have access to bank branches, etc., which is that easy. So is eCoach a way to replace the bank branch or at least extend the bank branch in terms of in a big way? Because that's how I understood it. And also the fact that you said it's purpose built. So the human in the loop does not really play a huge role here.
Yes, absolutely. But there's human in loop already. So for example, you really need credit for some reason and you are not getting allocated and you want to raise a request that, hey, then it translated to your RM or an RM will call you because it takes it as a ticket request, right? So all of those will definitely be there. But I'll just add to you that, look, with conversation, now there's no boundary. You can manage and serve somebody in hinterland. as well as a merchant who is in like some suburban in Mumbai.
Correct.
Because for him, this accessibility matters as much for him
huge, yeah.
as for somebody.
Huge
It
advantage.
doesn't matter how close the bank branch is.
That's true.
But this comfort is unprecedented, right?
Also,
and
it's the mindset, na? Let's be honest, Kumar. You know, the old mindset of going to the branch, etc. Now, if I have this magical box with me, suddenly I feel very empowered. Probably that's where I was coming from.
Correct, absolutely. And one other important thing which I'm seeing is that this can start extending itself, right? So today we are very certain that there is a huge value add both for a bank and an MSME, and it removes everybody who is in the middle. There's a direct relationship between a bank.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Absolutely right. And now anybody who wants in the industry to have a direct relationship with their MSME, right? They can make use of this platform. For example, brands. A lot of FMCG brands, they still struggle to reach out to their end merchant, right? Now here there is a direct link wherein they can communicate with their end merchants, right? Understand them more better, solve their supply chain issues, give them credit to buy their products, right? So you'll see that all of this are going to add a lot of efficiency to our MSME. And if we improve even 12%, annual efficiency for every MSME in the country, right? That's a 12% efficiency on your overall GDP numbers, just with simple intervention. We're not even talking about like doing something magical here. Just what is there, make it available to them in a language and a format which they're comfortable in. Simple. So, and remove everything from between. So bank directly talk to their merchants, brands directly talk to their merchant, and this inefficiencies are removed from the system.
I think that's the operative inefficiencies. Very quickly, in summation, moving forward, looking forward. Honestly, Kumar, I think you've extended a solution which I'm sure a lot of MSMEs across the country, everyone will be jubilant, celebrating and doing backflips the moment you get into the large implementation aspect. ToneTag is 12 years old. Globally, it's patented and launching its most ambitious product today. Now, where does ToneTag go from here? And are you building India's next global AI infrastructure company for digital commerce, sir? Because you mentioned what you just did is something which has not happened anywhere on the planet. So I want to hold you on record for that.
Yes, I think. See, the objective is very simple, right? And we have discussed this, that you can build technologies, and whether it's AI or quantum or any of this, right? But unless until it has a meaningful impact, right? The distribution and access to those technology, those compute, is for every human on this planet, right? You will not see meaningful, impact of such innovations or such tech stacks, right? So we have tried to create that horizontal platform to make sure that these tech advancements are accessible to everyone. So that's the role which we are trying to play. But more importantly, as an entrepreneur in India, right? If you look at globally today, right, you have two control centers, right? So when you talk about manufacturing, right, it's China, right? If you talk about tech advancements, it's US, right? Now, if India has to create its own control center, it can't be the second manufacturing option or a second in technology option, right? I mean, that's also an option. But I see that is a huge opportunity to create something where we can say that, look, there is one way of addressing technological might, which US is doing. There's one way to address manufacturing might, which China is doing. Basically, everything China is creating is to support the digital technological roadmap, which US has taken, right? But for a country like India, what we can do is we can be the third control center, where we have a unique way of tech stack and a manufacturing stack to support it, right? And analog, quantum, these are some of the next levers which we should play at. I'll just give you one example why this is so unprecedented, right? So today, everything, say for example, if AI is the next advancement in tech stack, which US is way ahead, you see that the amount of energy which is required to do that is huge, right? Now, your brain, which also processes similar compute, right? But only takes 20 watt of energy, right?
Sure.
Because your brain does analog computing, not digital computing, right? And India can build its own analog stack where the compute and tech advancement is also happening in the analog and quantum verse. And the supported manufacturing stacks are also for this, right? And then suddenly you will see that the world which needs more efficient tech stack and manufacturing stack, India will be the third control center, right? And much more efficient than what US is doing or what China is doing. And today the government emphasis is there. We have quantum, innovation funds. We have analog computing funds, right? And I think with our work in analog computing, with our work in analog data transfer. So when we say that we send data over sound waves, it's completely analog. There's nothing digital here, right? We can create this third control center, right? And hence I'm saying is that we should as entrepreneurs look at 15 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, enough of looking at, 5 years, 10 years, enough of chasing a unicorn status. I think we should really aim for $100 billion, $500 billion companies. And that can only happen if you have a 20, 30 years. 20, 30 year view, India can definitely dominate the world when it comes to advancement in compute, which is hugely power efficient. We don't have to send computes to another planet or on space. Right. We can just replicate how brain functions, right? So, and we are doing, there is a lot of internal ways.
Clearly you're doing that, Kumar. And thank you so much for, honestly, all of your initiatives. I believe I would like to take a leaf out of Professor Rajesh Sangal's book, the founder of Bhashini. He had said something which I think you're trying to achieve. He said that let's go ahead and list down 1,000 problems of India, even if we can solve 100, and then we can go ahead and not follow what the global giants are doing. We can set a trajectory of our own. I believe that's what you said. And of course, wishing you and the entire team all of the best moving forward. eCosh is something which I believe can unlock and has unlocked 6 crores as far as MSMEs are concerned. Thank you so much for being on Front Page. And before I say bye-bye, please Front Page के लिए एक box भेज दीजिएगा, Kumar.
Definitely. Thank you, Sudhi, for having me here. Yes.
Kind of you. Wishing you all the best. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Would love your thoughts in the comments below on this wonderful development and on this wonderful thought leadership which Kumar is trying to bring to the ecosystem. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page by the IM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adasi, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Py project created. There is requirement. And this is the environment. So this is the app where you have a Py cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker. And these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
AI prototypes are everywhere, but very few professionals know how to deploy AI where businesses actually operate. Introducing the Certified Forward Deployed AI Specialist by Adasi, a certification designed for the new generation of AI professionals who can bridge technology, deployment, operations, and business execution in real-world enterprise environments. Because modern AI success is no longer just building models. It's about making AI work inside production systems, customer workflows, and enterprise operations. The future belongs to engineers who can take AI from demo to deployment. This certification is ideal for AI engineers, solutions architects, technical consultants, Gen AI practitioners, developers who want to move beyond experimentation and deploy AI systems that create measurable business impact. The future of AI belongs to professionals who can take intelligence from concept to real-world execution.
There are a lot of models available on Amazon. You can use any model. For this particular workshop, I'll go with Llama 3. It's the simplest, easiest, and in terms of cost, no problem. But yes, if you are an organization, you want to go and work, you can use Anthropic's Claude model. You can use any of these models. So this is the 2ML file. And what you need, all of you, is you can see there is a Docker file also created. There is a Pi project created. There is requirement, and this is the environment. So just this is the app where you have a Pi cache. So this is your cache. Init.py will not have anything, that is for initialization. This is your actual agent script. And then here you have got a README, which you can use automatically running in Docker. And these things come automatically. You can click on data store. You can click on the tool name. So this is tool 1. It's a data store. You can give the description. Now I'm going with the lowest score in terms of grounding. So we have low confidence that the response is grounded.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. I'm Antara and you're watching Point Break. A year ago, the hottest skill in tech was prompt engineering. Companies were hiring for it, courses were selling out, LinkedIn was full of people calling themselves prompt engineers. Today, that conversation feels almost quaint because the real shift is about what you can build with AI, whether you can use AI to design systems, automate workflows, run agents, and achieve outcomes at a scale and speed that simply just wasn't possible before. A new generation of roles is emerging to describe people who do this. Loop engineers, forward deployed engineers, frontier engineers, AI operators. The question today is, what do these roles actually mean? Who fills them? And is prompt engineering already a relic of the very recent past? And also, if you haven't heard the term loop engineer yet, that is because this conversation is just beginning. And you are hearing it first here on Point Break by AIM. I'm Mantra. Let's get right into it. Today's conversation needed voices from inside the code, inside the community, and inside the boardroom. I happen to have all three. Arsh Goyal is a senior software engineer, a 5-time TEDx speaker, NIT Jalandhar Gold medalist, and a creator who has built a community of over 700,000 engineers and developers across Instagram and YouTube. He has, in fact, also mentored 50,000 engineers and has been at the front line of how India's developer community actually learns and actually adapts to artificial intelligence. Arsh, welcome to Point Break. My second guest today is Vanshika Pandey, who is a software engineer, a tech and AI creator with a community of over 400,000, top 25 Unstopped Creator awardee, and a public speaker as well. She thinks about artificial intelligence less as a tool and more as an infrastructure, and has also been in the room for some of the most important AI conversations happening globally right now. Vanshika, it's an absolute pleasure to host you here on Point Break. And of course, last but not the least, Amrit Raj, who needs no introduction on this show, co-founder of Women in Product India. He sits at the intersection of product, community, and how AI is reshaping what builders actually do. Amrit, is always a pleasure to have you. So welcome all of you to Point Break. All right. So, what I want to start today with is provocation. A year ago, prompt engineering was sort of being treated as the defining skill of the AI era. Courses were built around it. Job descriptions named it. People used to put it on their CVs. Today, that conversation has, I would like to say, moved on entirely to agents and to systems and to outcomes. Arsh, my first question is to you. You teach and mentor engineers across India at a scale, right? Would you say that prompt engineering is dead in your community? Are the developers that you have already worked with past it, or is there still a gap that between what the narrative says and what people on the ground are actually doing? Arsh.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Antara. First of all, I think mid 2023 and 2024 were all about prompt engineering, wherein we are seeing courses on prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is one of the hottest skills. We have seen a lot of job descriptions, a lot of companies hiring for roles like prompt engineers. But I think that was because the LLM models were not that great to understand what we were prompting, right? So humans needed that skills to get that correct output from the LLM models. But I think now with time, all of these LLM models have improved a lot and they understand the prompts very well. Even if the prompt is not very well defined, we tend to get a very good output from all these LLM models. So I think prompt engineering is not dead, but I think it is becoming more redundant because the LLM models are becoming more smarter. But I think that skill is still relevant, still important, because people need to know how to get output out of an LLM model. So I think not just prompt engineering, but there are a lot other skills apart from prompt engineering that are becoming more relevant. Prompt engineering is like I think prompt engineering would be something like using a calculator in 2005 that we use, right? So if you want to do mathematical calculations, you need to know how to use a calculator. If you need to get some output out of an AI model or LLM or whatever you use, so I think if you know the basics of using prompting, that is like similar to using a calculator.
But that's certainly there is, I would say, a demand for upskilling that is there in the picture, especially now.
Yeah.
Correct?
100%.
Right. Understood. Thank you for answering that, Ash. My second question is to Vanshika. Vanshika, I believe you have written about, AI being like electricity and not just a light bulb. The bulb is what everyone celebrated, which is visible, it's useful, it's, easy to put in a pitch deck. The electricity is what makes everything possible. So would you say that prompt engineering, the light bulb moment that the industry celebrated while the real infrastructure was, being built underneath?
Swandra, I think it's in today's world, it's very important to upskill ourselves and, always understand what's coming up in the industry. And so at that time, as Arsh mentioned, that we had like prompt engineering on demand and a lot of job descriptions are coming up according to that. But nowadays I can see that since things have been improved and it will improve in future. So definitely there will be new things coming up today, tomorrow. So we just need to upskill ourselves in such a way that we always, know how to, compete in the market. That is very important for any industry or anyone looking for a job these days. So I think right now, as we can see that new models are coming up every day, almost every day, like something has been launched or something has been coming up. So we just need to keep ourselves up to date. There are a lot of platforms like Twitter, Reddit, where people are posting daily, and a lot of blogs people are writing. So just it is very important to upskill ourselves. And since there are a lot of roles coming up and it will come up in future, obviously a lot of jobs are going, but a lot of jobs are being created as well at the same time. So for me, I think that is very important to be updated all the time when it comes to in today's world of AI era.
Understood, Vanshika. Thank you for that. Amrit, from strictly from the product and investment perspective, when did you really start noticing that prompting was no longer the, for the lack of a better term, differentiator, right? What changed in the rooms that you were in, Amrit?
So actually, prompting is still relevant, but what changed is, as Arsh was mentioning, right?
Yeah.
When the model started becoming better, there was no need for such detailed prompting. We used to have various prompting frameworks, right? Craft framework, AIM framework, brief frameworks, right? So what happened is the LLMs became so good that a new word was coined by Andrew Ng. He started calling as lazy prompting.
Yes.
Lazy prompting is basically whatever you tell AI is able to understand what's the output you want to get out of it. So that is the level we have come in the last 1.5 years. If you see, right, 2025, we started getting thinking models, and they have become so good. Right now, we are looking at Fable 5 and Mythos. So right now, the AI understands, even if without you giving the proper all the prompting frameworks. If you give it good context, good enough context and good enough role, it understands it well enough and executes it based on your context and whatever information you give it around the task. So yeah, they have already been good enough. But yeah, talking about these new technology, new workflows which are coming into play, like loop engineering. So basically, Boris Cherny, who's the who made Claude Code, spoke about it recently, right? So he said he's not writing codes anymore. He just writes loops. So I would say these loop engineering is basically more relevant for coders from a coding perspective, because Andrei Karpathy, if you see Boris Cherny and all the leading engineers at Anthropic and OpenAI have started using loop engineers. So if you're a coder, I would 100% say you should start adopting those frameworks, because if you want to be in the top 1%, right, you should start copying what the top 1% is doing. But from a non-technical perspective, I would say loop engineering is relevant as of now, but going forward in 6 years and 1 month's time, right, we should start thinking in outcomes rather than just giving a prompt and expecting a output. We should start thinking in goals and what is the outcome I want out of LLM. So that is where, for a non-technical person like me, the loop engineering will start playing a bigger role. But as of now, I would say it is most important for coders. And yeah, talking about our people seriously thinking about it, yes, we have started thinking. We have started operating it in a different way, and the prompting started becoming irrelevant from the time when LLMs have become so good, like Fable 5 and Mythos 5, or Opus 4.8 also was very good.
Understood, Amrit. In fact, since we are talking about loop engineer, I want to sort of build my next question on that. The phrase itself, right, loop engineer, this phrase has sort of, I would say, exploded across the tech communities globally in the recent weeks. Like you very correctly pointed out, Andrew Ng is talking about it. The teams behind Frontier AI Tools are talking about it. The idea is this, right, that a loop engineer doesn't just use AI tools. Right, they design the loop, the system in which AI operates, where humans intervene, where agents hand off to other agents, and how the whole thing produces a reliable output at scale. So I would say it's a fundamentally different skill from writing a good prompt. It requires systems thinking. It requires an understanding of the failure modes, and of course judgment about where human oversight is absolutely non-negotiable. Arsh, this question is to you. Break this down for someone who's watching who's a developer 2 or 3 years into their career. What does a loop engineer actually do that a prompt engineer doesn't? Like just break it down for us in a non-technical way, if you could.
Yeah. So I think that's very important, and this discussion is at the very, very correct time. We we've talked about prompt engineering, but we've missed something known as agentic engineering, right? How we have been building agents ourselves. I think that's been there for like last 6-8 months. Everyone has been talking about agents in all their keynotes, in all the big tech conferences. You've heard this term from all the CEOs, and we have seen every company running behind building agents or coming up with a platform where they can build agents. So agents is basically a set of repeated instructions. For example, if I want to automate a software development lifecycle, one part of software development lifecycle, so my agent would do like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and they are somehow interconnected in a way. So that's how an agent operates. Now, I am still the human in the loop in when that agent is operating. But now let's say I want a layer that is on the top of this agent, which automatically does my work, as in it gets in the feedback and it keeps on repeating the same for more and more cycles, and with time it improves. So that's basically the loop over the agent. So I think you basically need to be an agentic engineer first. Once you understand how you can build systems, you talked about systems engineering, understanding guardrails, understanding security, understanding how you build a reliable enterprise grade agent. Over that enterprise grade agent, I think there's one top layer that is the loop that you need to fit in, and that's what makes you a loop engineer. So it's a fancy term for agent engineering that is more automated, I would say, more automated and more self-sufficient, self-reliant.
Certainly.
But yeah. So that's how you would understand if you know about agentic engineering. I think loop engineering is one layer on the top of it. But yeah, I think processes needs to be the same. You need to have that system thinking. You need to understand security. You need to understand guardrails. But at the same point of time, you need to understand when you're building that loop, right? What is something that still requires human intervention, even if you're writing that loop. So I think that is very, very important. Even like I've been reading a lot about this across socials from past few days. And I think all of like people have different perspectives on what they have been doing. Amit mentioned about Boris, right? He told rather than prompting Claude, he's been writing loops that solves the purpose. And I think it's tech or non-tech agnostic. It will be there in software engineering, but even if there's something non-technical that we're doing, right? Within that also we can set up a loop, and that things keeps on iterating and getting us better outputs over time.
Okay. So I think all right. Thank you for answering that with and explaining it with so much clarity. Vanshika, my next question is to you. And I would like to build on something that you say a lot, that you think about AI as infrastructure. So through that lens, would you say that loop engineering is the moment that we stop treating artificial intelligence as a feature and start treating it as a system? And also, what does that shift actually demand, from the people building it in the first place?
Yeah. So again, it's very important for everyone to understand different roles. Like there are a lot of terms like loop engineer, harness engineering, FDE, forward deployed engineer. So a lot of these roles are coming in the picture. And definitely, I think loop engineering is something which will definitely gonna take a good place right now. And like before that, prompt engineering was in the picture, and prompt engineering was simply what you give something to AI and like talking to a chatbot. It was very simple. But nowadays, when it comes to loop engineering, it's like you are feeding something to AI and you are expecting AI to work for you, like give you a goal, give you a output, and learn from it, and then again go back and understand what was a mistake and how we are gonna fix it, and everything that AI should know by themselves.
Self-sufficient to an extent.
Yeah, self-sufficient, you can say. And I think that is something which is again very important as a part of current AI world and current AI era. And few of my friends here got into loop engineers, and they have been working very closely with AI, and wherever the new model is coming up, they are trying it and training in such a way that they are some way or the other making business very good in somewhat sense. So I think that is very important in that point of view. So,
Understood. Amrit, at the level of product and company building, are the best founders that you see today loop engineers by instinct, even if they don't call themselves that? And also, what does it look like when someone gets this right versus when they don't?
So yeah, talking about loop engineering, we need to be very conscious about this thing is, it is very expensive also, right? Because you have got multiple agents working. Like I'll just add, to what Harsh Goel was saying, explaining it, in a simpler manner. So basically what loop engineering is, it has three parts. Number one is goal or the objective, which you want the AI to do. Number two is the metrics, right? Which judges whether it is right or not, the task has been done or not. For example, let us say I wanted to write a essay for me, right? And I would say the readability score should be more than 80 out of 100. That is the metrics I gave. And the third thing is when the task ends. Number one, it ends when it has run 5 times, or it ends when the budget has exceeded $5, let's say. So these are the three things which I need. Objective, number two is metrics, and when does the task end? So, and so that I don't want it to be running, endlessly. So running these AI loops, right, it is very expensive because the AI which is running the task is different. There's one more AI who's evaluating it, whether you have done the right task or not, because I need to have AI agents, right? One is writing the task, other one is evaluating, because I don't want the same person to evaluate the task who's running it, right? So there are two agents running parallel and they are running in loop. So the cost is very high. So all these people who are promoting loop engineering are working at Anthropic, or let's say OpenAI, or let's say Google. So they have unlimited and infinite budget. But once we talk about individual operators, or let's say small startups, so the budget is kind of are low for us. So for these things to come into workflows, it definitely takes time. So yeah, as Harsh was saying, it is just a new thing which people have started talking. And Andre Karpathy also was talking, right? He has parallelly more than hundreds of agents running parallelly, and they were able to find they were able to make his code better, which he had been ignoring for a very long time. So all these things, as I said, are very cost sensitive, and they are very high cost, costing things. But yeah, people who are very actively into coding and who want to be in the top 1%, have started adopting it. But at the product level, the adoption will be, I would say, is little slow only. Only startups will be adopting, and by the time it comes to enterprise, I would say it will take much more further time.
Understood. Amrit, following up on that, Women in Product India, has over 5,000 product builders, right? So would you say that, you are seeing these new roles actually appear in the community, people claiming these titles, people building towards them? Or would you say this is still more a Silicon Valley language than an Indian market reality?
No, forward deployed engineers have started appearing in India as well. Like we see a lot of forward deployed engineers being able to deploy it at all these voice AI companies, right? Vani AI, Bolna AI. So I have first hand met them and discussed about how they are operating. So yeah, like there's a new job role, as Vanshika was saying, right? Like forward deployed engineers have started coming up, right? Which were not there. So basically what they do is they go and implement the solution of their startup in their customer organization. Right, and these guys have been, there's been a huge demand for these type of engineers. Earlier it was there in SF only, but in India level, if you see, right, startups, they are definitely there. In MNCs, I have not seen that as of now, but yeah, definitely I'm hoping they're gonna be there.
You were saying that there certainly is a trend that you're foreseeing that it might come in the future.
Yes, no, it is already there in the startup ecosystem. But in MNCs and all, they might come up in the future.
Understood, Amrit. Thank you for that. Harsh, my next question is to you. You have dedicated a significant part of your career, to closing the gap between the tier 1 and tier 3 college students in India. In a loop engineering world, are these new roles accessible to someone from a non-IIT background in a city like, say, Nagpur or Jalandhar? Or does this era sort of widen the gap between the top and the rest of them?
Yeah, I think I would like to add to what Amrit was saying. We have seen forward deployed engineer as a full-fledged role, not just across startups, but across MNCs as well. If you go and check out careers portal of Microsoft right now, you'll find forward deployed engineers. Yes. They're hiring forward deployed engineers, even Salesforce or Google to mention. Even I was chatting with Rajiv, who's the head of Microsoft India Development Center, and he was very bullish on forward deployed engineers as a role, and he was looking forward to more engineers joining Microsoft as FDs. I think the acceptance and the validation of the role is already done by both startups and MNCs, and it has already reached India. Now, coming back to your question on tier 3 and tier 1 India, I think these roles are new, and now I've always talked about, right? Skills matter more over degrees or the kind of college that you have are from. And I know a lot of examples of people who are from like tier 3, tier 4 colleges or remote cities. You named a few, Nagpur or Jalandhar. Like if somebody in Nagpur or Jalandhar is listening to this, understanding what is loop engineering, building a system themselves, and then putting it out there across any of their platforms, I think that gives you more visibility. Plus, this term came just last month. Even prompt engineering, like vibe coding, came a year or two back. So if you're hearing it, if you're at the forefront of these things happening, and if you're building, you definitely would attract opportunities rather than you applying for any opportunities. So I think it totally depends upon the individual. And I have seen a lot of people who are working for remote startups based out of US, from tier 2, tier 3 towns, tier 2, tier 3 colleges in India. Tier 1 college students would have access to a lot of companies and these roles when they come to campus for hiring. But I think if you are in a tier 2, tier 3 remote town, you need to build stuff, you need to showcase, you need to put yourself out there. I think that would solve the purpose for you, and these roles would become accessible to you as well.
So would you say that, individuals from those tier 3 cities need to go that extra mile for that sort of an accessibility? Would you say that?
100%. You definitely would need to put in some extra efforts to showcase that you are also capable enough. If you're not getting those opportunities within your campus or due to some other reason, you need to put in those efforts yourselves, and you can get almost the same results. I know people who just after college, they're making like 80k USD, 200k USD in remote jobs, working in these roles like FDEs or working in roles like remote software engineers. So I think very, very accessible, but maybe you need to put in a bit more efforts.
So would you say, and I want to push on a little bit on this, would you say that, you sort of see that gap being bridged in the coming, say, months?
I don't see that. I see the gap being bridged in terms of opportunities. Access to opportunities would be for all. But I think the gap overall, the wealth gap, there'll be people who will be a lot more smarter, but there will be people who would not know a lot of stuff, and we'll see that wealth gap widening in the software engineering space. So I think that's what I believe. But overall, opportunities are accessible from anywhere and everywhere now. It's just that you need to be smart enough to capitalize on those.
Certainly.
I would like to add over there
for answering that.
I would like
yes, please.
to add over there. So basically what happens, we stay in Bangalore and we stay around all the tech folks, right? So we believe everyone knows AI at the same level, or, are up to date with AI at the same level at which we are. But once you zoom out, right, we're talking about, India as a country, right? We have huge population. So the penetration, because I have been actively involved in training of college folks, right? And be it big colleges, right? So what happens over there is once you zoom out, the penetration is less. The adoption is less. They have not started building also. And I was doing one podcast with the students also. They don't have an active policy of using AI tools as a part of their curriculum. Rather, teachers don't want students to use AI tools. So because of our bubble, we feel, everyone knows AI. But once we zoom out, the adoption and the penetration, as Arsh was saying, right, it is little less.
Absolutely.
The tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
I mean, the knowledge, I would say, is still very surface level. I mean, especially when you zoom out, like you said, you zoom out and you see that while everybody's talking about AI, I believe the deeper knowledge about it, it's not there yet in the picture. I mean, it's very surface level. It's only a niche that is talking about it to that extent.
And the technology is also very costly, if you see,
Absolutely.
right? For a college student to pay 2,000 rupees, and that 2,000 rupees gets over very fast, if you see. Okay, $20 plan is not sufficient. It will get exhausted within 1 hour or 2 hours if you're using it properly, right? And paying $100 or something like that. So that is also one major pain point. I've been training working professionals also. They are also very inhibitant of investing that 2,000 rupees or a $20 plan. They're like, Amrit, what can we do with a free plan? So that we have to remove that, and then come to a position where we start building and then, start, investing more. So that is the level we are at.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Amrit. Vanshika, here's again, something that I want to push on. Every major tech wave has sort of produced new role names that took years to mean anything to the actual job market, right? How long before forward deployed engineer and AI operator actually start showing up in Indian job descriptions in any meaningful volume? Because currently it's still, like we were just talking about it, it's still a very, I would say, a niche category. So do you see it happening in sort of a mainstream way, Vanshika?
I think as we discussed earlier, like from past 1 month, I can see that, there are a lot of demand of this FDE role or loop engineers because as soon as we are evolving and we are growing, these kind of roles are coming in the picture. So I think it's gonna evolve more. And when it comes to FDE, it's not just a tech role or a customer facing role, it's a mix of both, like tech role as well as the customer facing role as well as a product role. So someone who is kind of a developer advocate also is the role where people basically build community and be a customer facing person, selling the product in such a way that explaining your product to people and letting them know that how you can integrate that particular product in your system and how you can use it. So basically these kind of roles are mostly important, and in this AI era, soft skills is something which is really we should focus on, because of course coding and everything is there, but in the end of the day AI is doing things for you, but coming out and telling people that what it is and how we have build something, or basically telling people and bridging that gap is very important. And these kind of roles where a lot of soft skills, like coding is involved, definitely tech is involved, but soft skills are also involved. These kind of roles will definitely grow in future, and I think people should just not focus on one thing, which is just hard skills or coding or tech, but also focus equally on talking and soft skills and how you can basically convey things to other in a very easier manner. So that's what I feel.
Okay, all right, Vanshika. And this is a question that I want to ask to the three of you. Would you say that India creating these roles, or is it consuming them? Are we waiting for Silicon Valley to define the job description and then hiring for it? Or you would say that Indian engineers and Indian builders are actually shaping what these roles would look like?
So I think I would like to add,
Please,
it's just that India is one of the biggest tech markets when it comes to software engineering, right? And all of these innovations, all of these new roles are majorly linked to software engineering somehow, or the way it is. And almost all these tech companies, whether you talk about the Indian services giants like Infosys, TCS, Wipro,
yes,
or you talk about the product companies or GCCs that are getting established. So how these roles are getting shaped is most of these companies have mandated the use of AI in some projects or another. Like it's calculated, it's measured team wise, the number of tokens consumed per month, per day, per week, and how you're using AI in your day-to-day work. I think tracking that and understanding in which parts AI is helpful and how AI can solve for a lot of other problems, not just development. I think Indian developers are playing a major part, not just for services companies, clients, but also for product companies abroad. So I think we are not at the forefront. These roles are getting named first in the US, but somehow the backbone of these roles lie within the Indian developer ecosystem.
Understood. Amrit and Vanshika, would you like to add on to that?
I have a different opinion on this.
Okay.
Like as of now, from like are we developing these roles, or at the forefront of the new roles which are being developed? I would say we are not, to be honest, right? We are not. We are just following whatever is being done in the US from all the perspective, and that is where I believe, because Indians are very cautious, right? Like we are very cautious players. We would wait and watch once it is done, and we feel it is safe enough to go into that. That's when we start venturing. Otherwise, we resist change as India, as a society, I would say, or anyone as a person, right? We resist change. That is pretty evident from the the way we operate, right? And we have been discussing about building the AI sovereign models, or building state of the art models. Right, all these places we are being a little behind.
Okay.
The efforts are being there, and creators like Vanshika, and we are all, trying to create the awareness. But as a ecosystem level, when I see from my personal opinion is, we are behind it, little behind.
Okay. Vanshika, anything that you want to add on to this?
Yeah, I think Amrit and Arsh has covered almost everything. But I think, yeah, definitely when it comes to a new thing coming up in India, it's already there and we are just adopting it. And which is very important also. Adoption is also very important. And I can see that definitely there will be more adoption. And I'm really happy that we are growing in such a way. And yeah, I think just the important thing for everyone, like the students especially, is that using AI in such a way, not just depending upon AI, but also, just making it as a part of their workflow, like working AI as a team, not just being totally dependent upon it. Because when we used to be in our colleges, we used to study data structures and algorithm and, what's behind the scenes, what is machine learning, what is RAG, and a lot of things we have learned. And then we have built system by ourselves. At that time, AI was not that much in the picture. But nowadays, everyone have, Claude and access to ChatGPT and everything in one go. And people just try to, ignore the basics, like what RAG is, what supervised and unsupervised learning is. All of these things are equally important. So I think that not to skip all these things, but also adopting AI in such a way that we know, like students know all, like both of the things, so that in future, if they'll go in industry, they use AI in such a way that, even if AI is not there tomorrow, they can still survive. So I think that is something which I want to point out.
Understood, Vanshika. Thank you. Now sort of steering the conversation here a little bit. And let's be honest about what, this transition really means for people who, say, invested in prompt engineering as a skill. Like we mentioned earlier, courses were sold, right? Certifications were issued, job descriptions were written around it. So there is a very real cohort of people who spent the last year building their identity and, their CV around being a prompt engineer. And even if not completely, that conversation certainly has moved a little bit to a certain extent. So, Arsh, you teach, I believe, hundreds of thousands of people, and you teach them how to, navigate their tech careers. What do you tell somebody in that position? Would you say that the skill is wasted, or would you say that it's sort of a, foundation for what comes next?
So Andra, I think this is the fundamentals of tech industry, right? It's very dynamic. You can't rely on one skill. We started from writing assembly code. Even before that, maybe some other thing. Like from assembly, we moved to languages like C, right? Low level languages. Then we moved to, let's say, Python or TypeScript. Right? Then we moved to something like autocomplete that happened in 2021 with GitHub coming up with something like that. Then we saw agentic coding coming up, right? And software engineer has been there for like last 30, 40 years.
Absolutely.
And they have seen that entire shift coming. And all of these shifts were like very, very different. Their entire role, entire identity of software engineering has changed. And now we are in 2026. We talked about Moore's law, right? Things change after 18 months, but now I think Moore's law is not applicable anymore. So we see those things changing like in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks. So we as engineers, we need to adapt ourselves to whatever is happening in the industry. We need to know how can we, for example, if you've done a certification or if you've done something related to prompt engineering, now you know prompt engineering. Now next step would be how can you build a basic agent using NA10, or maybe how can you build a basic agent using any of the available tools, right? So I think that would be a natural progression from your prompt engineering. Now, once you learn building agents, so next step from building an agent would be coming into something like agentic engineering or loop engineering that we are talking about. And all of these things combined would somehow help you, along with your engineering knowledge, plus your good communication skills would help you define a role like a forward deployed engineer for which you can be employed in a company. So I think it's an ever evolving industry. And at this point of time, when every single day, every company is running behind launching something new, improving at the forefront of anything and everything, reducing costs and helping onboard more developers. So I think if you want to survive, if you want to stay in this industry, there's nothing like something is wasted. Everything you learn, you adapt, you move on to next, and that's how this industry will continue.
Sure. And I completely agree with you on that. But what I also want to understand, what about the people who are not from a technical background? What happens to them?
Yeah, so I think even now learning has become more easier, right? The access to all of this information, which earlier was behind like being at a premier institute or being at some IIT or some other college or institution. Now the access to information is very easy. Now we've been talking about non-technical people writing code, right? So the term vibe coding came in from there. So now non-technical people, if they've learned vibe coding, now the next step would be how to, in that vibe coding application, how to put in security guardrails. Now you need to learn that on your own, right? Even if you're a non-technical person, but still, if at all you don't want to go via that route, there are so many other different things happening for non-technical people. For example, with AI improving in coding, at the same point of time, AI is improving a lot in image generation, video generation, and a lot of other creative fields. So you need to figure out what is something that is relevant for you. For a non-technical person, I've seen people making AI films and making a lot of money, and that's again a full-time career. I think this is again a new role coming up where people are building full-time AI films, and these AI films are being used by all these broadcasters, and people are making like hundreds and thousands of dollars. So I think these are the different roles. You need to figure out where you fit in. You don't need to fit in every role, but maybe fit in one and try moving up the ladder on that road. That would help.
Okay, all right. Amrit, and I want to ask you this question. The cynical read on all of this is that AI industry keeps inventing new terminology to sell new courses and new LinkedIn badges. Loop engineer, forward deployed engineer, frontier engineer. Would you call it repackaging of sorts? Would you say that this is the same repackaging the industry has always done with a better label? Is that the case?
No, 100% not, because all these terms are being coined by the industry leaders who are not teaching these things, right? Boris Journey, right? I was linking the who created Cloud Code, right? Or Andrei Karpathy. These are the folks who are coining these terms, right? And they're not actively into, selling courses. They're actively using these workflows into their day-to-day life. And they have found it very useful, and they have found it productive, and worth their time. So that is why they are sharing it. So yeah, it is not repackaging it, I would say, but it is evolving. The AI as a the way we use AI has been evolving, right? We started with normal chatbots, then we moved to prompt engineering, we moved to context engineering, and right now we are at looping, right? From agent to multi-agentic system. Now we are talking about AI brain for every company. So things are, as Arsh was saying, right? Things are evolving so fast. So it is not people are deliberately doing it. It is actively doing it, and they are actively using it, and they are finding value in it. That is why they are sharing. If you see, right, the Claude in the last 6 months has become so good, right, that people have started shifting from ChatGPT to Claude, and they are doing more business than ChatGPT, right? Why so? Because they have been able to shift this so fast. And any talk you listen from the Anthropic folks, right, you will see not only them, but their entire team is adopting the same workflows. If you see, the entire marketing team was just one person. Okay, and he was a non-coder, but he developed workflows, and he was able to maintain the entire Anthropic's marketing, right? For the last, I would say, till last 1 year or like last 6 months. So he single-handedly managed that thing. So these things are being adopted. They are into their daily workflows, and not only one person or two person doing it. They, as a company level, they are doing it, and they are sharing the best practices. So I would say 100% there is no such thing as they are repackaging it, reselling it. They are finding value, and these people have no incentive of repackaging it, because people, whoever is using it, right, they are very well versed, right? If someone will call them out. Right, because we have a lot of pundits, and we know, right, these days we have a lot of creators using it daily. So yeah, if there is something false or false, what should I say, arguments or anything, it will be flagged very quickly. But yeah, people have found values, and I would see, I've seen it. It makes perfect sense to incorporate all these things and learn all these things if you want to stay ahead in the race of AI.
Certainly, thank you for that. India produces over 1 million of engineering graduates every year. It has, in fact, one of the world's largest developer communities as well. The question of whether India's engineers transition into these new roles or, get left behind by them is not a small question. And since we were talking about, upskilling and all, I would sort of like to build on it. It is a question about the next generation of, the Indian middle class. So, Arsh, my question is to you. What is the most important thing an Indian developer needs to learn right now that, they are probably not being taught anywhere else, not in college, not in online courses, not in communities that they are part of? What is that one thing that is imperative for them to, have some knowledge about?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to fundamentals again. For all of these agentic systems and all of these loop engineering, one most core thing, even all of these AI labs, if they're hiring right now, that the core thing remains the same, fundamentals. If you're studying in any college, any university, whatever you're doing, I think fundamentals still remain very important. You need to know the basics of how networking works, how things are, right? You can't just rely on LLM models. Even if you rely, right, you need to at some point of time come and make the LLM model understand like why you are wrong, because it can't identify it themselves. So I think you need to have that basic fundamental knowledge so that you can direct AI. So I think I even spoke about this in a talk somewhere wherein we are moving from writing code to now directing code. Right? So how can you learn the skill of directing code? When I say directing code, with respect to like there are few other things that come in between, right? So I think there's a lot of code generated with AI coming into picture, but there are not a lot of reviewers who can review that AI generated code. So I think if you are good at reviewing AI generated code, I think that's the skill that would get you the money and that will get you your next promotion, because you can generate a lot of code, but if you can review that code fast and ship that code fast, I think that's going to be the next new skill. Similarly, I think now along with your engineering skills, along with knowing how to write to code, product thinking is very important along the same time, because writing, like we have been hearing that writing software engineering or writing code is becoming more commoditized. Now, if it is becoming commoditized, if it has become so easy, if you get in your product thinking in between and build something on your own, I think that will get us more entrepreneurs. Plus, at the same point of time, people can have a lot of their working projects. I think hiring might shift to something like that. For example, if I build something, I ship it to, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 users, and it's an actual real application. Now, next time I'm sitting in an interview, I think my discussion in that interview would be all around that application that I built. I think the hiring patterns are already changing. We are seeing companies moving from traditional hiring patterns to organizing more hackathons where people come build some stuff for, let's say, 24 hours and they are hired on the basis of that. I think these are the fundamental shifts in the entire industry. Like somebody who is in college, somebody who is, let's say, into early careers or looking forward to move to another company. I think the most important thing right now is to build. Once you start building, right, just build one AI project and you will learn all the entire thing once, like how to write a spec, how to generate that code, how to review that code, how to deploy that thing. So I think that entire thing you can learn by building one project. And if you do those projects multiple times a month, multiple times an year, and participate in some hackathons, I think you will be at the top of the funnel and you can be in the top 1% who is not replaceable.
I would like to add to what Ash is saying.
Yes.
So basically, right now, if you see, right, in the GitHub, 80% of the code has been added last year. So that is one strategy, because the AI has made writing code so easy. But there is one more aspect to it, right? If you are a non-technical person and you are just dependent on vibe coding, it is like leaving you with your eyes tied, into a forest. Because writing code is easy, but debugging that is very difficult. Yeah. Right? If you don't have the basics clear, you won't be able to move the stuff, and you'll be stuck, from which you won't be able to get out. For example, I would like to tell you a quick story. So basically, one guy made a app. He was able to get paying customers. He did some $1 million revenue and everything. He posted it on Twitter. He said, "Hey guys, vibe coding is awesome. I'm able to get paid customers and everything." And what happened next is, he was attacked by all the hackers. So his website was attacked. He was like, "Hey guys, I'm under attack. Someone save me. Oh, no. My database is corrupted and everything." And the next tweet was, "Guys, I'm doomed. I am shutting this app and I cannot work." So that is what happens when you don't have your basics clear.
Slippery slope.
Exactly. You need to have your basics clear. And if you're in college, I would say keep your basics clear. Number 2, go for the breadth of knowledge. Now people are not looking at, folks who are just, able to do good front end or back end. They are, looking for a full stack engineers who are able to, do product thinking, and you basically end-to-end execution. They're able to do an end-to-end execution, and they're very hands-on with the AI tools. And as Arsh said, right, keep building portfolios. If you are, in the college, start participating in hackathons, start shipping things, then that is what is going to keep you ahead of the race.
Understood. Thank you, Amrit and Arsh. And before I ask Vanshika a question, I quickly want to pivot here a little bit. And Arsh, this is specifically for you. Let's talk money, right? You work with engineers at every stage of their career. Would you say that there is a number yet? Because, and I'm sure like every developer who's watching this actually wants to know this particular detail. What does a forward deployed engineer or say a loop engineer command in the market right now? Can you give us like a ballpark?
So I think this role is slowly growing and it's developing, and these benchmarks are getting set right now, right? For let's say a startup who has raised a lot of money very recently, it would not hurt them paying a forward deployed engineer close to, like, let's say a 20 to 30% higher than a software engineer at the same role, same position, same level. So you can say the benchmarks would be like 20 to 30% more on a normal software engineering bench. For example, if somebody is earning, let's say, a 30 lakhs or a 40 lakhs as a software engineer. So let's say if you are a forward deployed engineer, there's no harm upwards of 50 lakhs. So I think that's the benchmark that the industry is setting.
Okay.
But these are not standardized. You can't code them anywhere.
Certainly.
I have seen people sitting in India working for remote companies, like getting salaries in like 100K to 120K USD.
Right.
Somebody at 11 Labs somebody is working at 11 Labs as a forward deployed engineer has been making 150K to 200K with similar kind of experience, right? Even companies here in India like Amazon, like Salesforce or Microsoft, if you go and negotiate, because it's good, it's not the talent for forward deployed engineers is not that, like, it's not enough, right? And this role came in from Palantir. So Palantir first started coming up with this term, building a team of forward deployed engineers, and after that all these companies adopted. So now people are looking out for this talent. If you are talented, I think money is a no-brainer here. So if at all a company finds you fit, you can get a salary like as good as like 2x of your current software engineering salary as well.
Sure.
The major keyword over here is talent, and how good you are at your job. Not everyone can command that salary, to be precise. Like like if you're fresh out of college, you have to expect something less. And depend, as Arsh said, right, depends on the company you are into, depends on your skill as well. And yeah, if both of them fit well, you can get command any, you can demand anything else.
Sure.
But otherwise, also if you see as a standard, like like it as a category is evolving.
Yeah, and it's a mix of all of the many roles, like just not coding. It's a mix of software, like soft skills as well, and a lot of things in one place. So finding that talent is very important.
But I would say there is a parity, or I mean, I would like to ask you that, is there a parity between, what they are earning here as opposed to what they are earning abroad? What's the salary differentiation?
100%.
So I think it's the same as software engineers, right? A software engineer earning 30 LPA in India versus a software engineer earning 100K in the US is same. So if you can consider purchasing power parity, the same would apply to forward deployed engineers as well. And all of these companies, right? OpenAI recently acquired a company based out of London just because it had forward deployed engineers. Even yesterday I was hearing, if I'm not wrong, I'm not sure, but AWS was also invested $1 billion and is employing a lot of forward deployed engineers. So I think all of these companies, and the parity remains the same as software engineering. I think you just need to consider the purchasing power parity.
Okay. Thank you for answering that, Amrit, Arsh, and of course, Vanshika. And Vanshika, I want to ask this question from you. You have said that India must not use the bulb, it must wire the grid. What does wiring the grid actually look like for, say, an Indian developer and product community? What needs to happen at the system level and not just at an individual level, Vanshika?
At the system level, in the sense like...
I'm sorry?
At the system level, in the sense like what exactly? trying to say.
No, what I'm trying to understand from you is, you've said this, right? That India must be using, not just be using the bulb, but must be wiring the grid. So basically what I'm trying to understand from you is, what do you mean when you say that, wiring the grid, is actually important in terms of how India's developer community is working and how the product community is working? What needs to happen at that level?
So when it comes to India's developer community, how they are working, so I've seen that there are a lot of conferences actually in India happening. And when it comes to, developers, it's very important for them to attend these conferences, because most of the time we meet a lot of people there coming from India and outside India, and a lot of people are meeting and again, learning a lot of things there. So that is one thing which is very important. And again, when it comes to product, since we have mentioned about all these roles like forward deployed engineer and all the other roles coming in the picture, I think mix of tech, again I'm repeating myself, it's very important that mix of tech, mix of soft skills, mix of like communication and how you are conveying your ideas to people is very important in this economy. And I think just learning to code, like a lot of, and also when it comes to forward deployed engineer, in any industry or in any company, people who are software developers, they have been asked to learn soft skills and to upskill themselves with all the AI tools and maybe shift towards forward deployed engineer. Like I've seen a few companies where they have opened FD roles and they are asking their software engineers to learn all these things
Upskill,
and upskill themselves in AI and new tools and maybe move towards this particular role, because sometimes they don't want to hire from outside, but within.
I suddenly couldn't hear you. Please continue.
Yeah, no issues. So that's what I was trying to say, that I don't think the future belongs only to a prompt engineer or a loop engineer, certainly some particular role. I mean, it belongs to people who understands like how to, you can combine AI capabilities with, real business and with real business problem and, try to solve that and give a dependable outcomes basically. So,
Understood. Thank you for clarifying that, Vanshika. Amrit, the founders and the builders that you work with across the country and Southeast Asia, they building loop engineering capability natively, or would you say that they are still consuming tools and frameworks and mental models that were built somewhere else and they are adapting to them?
So Antara, so the loop engineering, right? It has come to the light in the last 1 month only, as So it is a pretty new workflow. It's not a technology, it is the way a coder or someone operates. Basically, instead of writing prompt after getting, and getting an output and then reprompting it, right? What do I do is I set up a loop where the AI checks whether my task is complete or not. If it is not complete, it repeats. So basically, it's a workflow. So all the coders, all the developers, right, who are in the top 1%, I would say, who are at the top 1% of the game, they have started incorporating it already. But people who are
Amrit, I'm so sorry, I'll have to interrupt you. I'm not able to hear what you just said. Could you just repeat the previous sentence?
Okay. So so basically what I was telling you is ki loop engineering is just a workflow. It is not a technology or it is nothing. So basically what we used to happen is I give a prompt, I get an output, then I give a prompt again to make it better, make the output better. Instead of doing prompting again and again, what am I doing is I am removing the human out and I am making the AI run in again and again till it gives me the desired output. So I'm removing human from the process. This is what has been happening. Now talking about who all have been adopting is, see, people who are at the top 1% of the game. I would say all the startups, right, the CTOs are actively, will start exploring and, using it or incorporating it in some way or the other. But it will take time. As I said, it is just 1 month old. It will take time to, understand it, make it cost optimized. I've been, iterating, it is like very cost heavy exercise, using, AI agents in loop. So depending upon how big your purse is, how tech savvy you are, and non-technical people's perspective, the adoption has been less. But if you're a technical co-founder, CTO, or something of that level, or lead engineer and all, these guys have been adopting it. But the real thing we would be able to see in coming quarter or coming 6 months.
Okay. Understood, Amrit. Thank you for clarifying that. And again, I want to steer the conversation a little bit here. And I believe this is the bigger question, really. What is the role of the human amongst all of this, right? Because underneath all of this is a question that sort of goes beyond all these new job titles. If AI agents can build loops, if they can manage workflows, if they can, hand off to each other autonomously, at what point does, the human step back entirely? And also, if the human steps back, who is responsible when something goes wrong? In fact, Arsh, you have built your entire platform on helping humans grow as engineers and as developers, right? If AI loops were to, start producing outputs that are just not good enough without some sort of human intervention or human oversight, what is the engineer's job then? What remains irreducibly human in software development?
Yeah, I think this is the most important and fundamental question that I hear from everyone, and that's this question keeps on changing, keeps on evolving. Like 1 year or 2 years down, before we were saying that human would be there for reviews, right? Code reviews. Now then somebody came and built AI code reviews, right? Then we're saying we're building agents with human in the loop always, and now we're talking about loops where we're removing human from that same agentic system, and that loop is now without human. But I think this role keeps on evolving. This role, there's no one specific skill. I think that would remain. AI can replace anything and everything, but it's more of if you're the best in your field, even if writing code is commoditized, but still if you're in the top 1% who can write that code, I think you are still irreplaceable. So you need to be the best in whatever you do. If you are into front-end engineering or machine learning engineering or deep learning engineering, so you need to be the best in your field. I think that should be your goal. If you want to survive, that's one. But I think other skills that are still relevant, I think I've talked before as well, you are still needed to review the code, what AI has been doing. There are few guardrails that you need to set that are important, because AI can, if at all AI takes over everything, then there will be no guardrails. And I think governments at some point of time would come and intervene, and we have already seen that happening, right? It's a separate debate that's been going on. So I think with humans coming into picture, the skill set that a human has would keep on evolving, and there's no one specific answer that I would say is correct at this point of time.
Okay.
I would like to add over here, Antara.
Please do.
So basically, Andrei Karpathy was saying, so only bottleneck in his workflow is he himself. So basically what he's saying, he himself slows down the entire, when he removes himself out of the workflow, right? His system is more efficient. His system of agents is more efficient in terms of cost, in terms of, this thing as well, time as well. He says humans are the real bottlenecks in the world, where AI has evolved right now. And at an organization level also, if you see, right, we are moving towards now token optimization. If you see, Uber exhausted their entire financial year's tokens within just first quarter, right? So their CEO was holding his head and sitting somewhere, right? He's like, now what do I do? So, and at Microsoft also, if you would have seen, right, they have, started rationing or basically asked their developers, be cautious with the usage of the cloud code. Yeah. So basically, we have come to a stage where we are going towards token optimization. And that can happen when you remove humans out of the loop. So that is where we are heading towards, but where humans stay relevant is, the task, like, guiding, what is the steering of the entire program? What is the outcome, what you want to build? That AI is not deciding it. What you want to build, what are the metrics you want to judge them on, right? So these are the places where humans are going to be crucial. But yeah, at an entire level, earlier you needed 10 folks to do that. Now you would need just 2 or 3 folks in a team, right? So that is going to be the impact of this.
I think maybe we can name it as architect, right? Somebody who architects the role and
certainly play with the words on that. Sure, absolutely. And in the interest of time, again, we'll have to sort of wrap this conversation. But I believe prompt engineering was never really the point to begin with. It was a stepping stone. It was a way of learning, how to speak to AI before we, even figured out how to build with it. What's emerging now, I believe, is something that is much, much more fundamental, right? The ability to design systems, the ability to think in loops, to know where humans should stay in the process and where they should be, taking a step back. And that, I believe, is a harder skill than, just writing a good prompt. And of course, arguably a more human one as well, right? It requires systems, it requires judgment, it requires thinking and basic understanding really of how things can go wrong. And the engineers who figure that out, wherever they are from, whatever college they went to, are the ones who will, really define what the next era of technology actually looks like. So, Arsh, Vanshika and Amrit, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming here on Point Break. And ladies and gentlemen, for everybody who is tuned in, we will be coming soon with, again, yet another episode. So do stay tuned for that.